This program is brought to you in part by SalCal Real Estate Connections. Yes, welcome to Race in Action today. We're here with some very special guests, longtime car collector and the driving force in the New England Auto Museum, Mike Scheidel. And Mike, it's a pleasure to have you here tonight.
Very nice to see you.
And I still want to know how my Mercury is doing.
It's doing fine. It's nice and quiet, just resting in the garage. Yeah.
Now, you just bring that out on a cruise night once in a while?
Yeah, I do. I have to change up, you know. I take the truck for advertising and the Mercury, and my latest car that I put in was a 47 Plymouth convertible.
Oh, wow.
So I've been working on that for the last couple of years, getting that on the road.
Wow. Now, you just mentioned the panel truck, the 40 Ford, right?
Right, 1940.
Is that your logo for the museum on the side of that truck, or just
Well,
letter?
the logo's on the back door. The logo is actually
right there?
the
Okay.
wheel.
The wheel,
And,
okay.
The size of the panel, though, it's written out, New England Auto Museum.
Now, tell me, how did this all start, collecting cars with you? How did this all start?
I was 13 years old, and actually, I was sick in bed, so I got to listen to, I found rock and roll, WPOP at the time out of Hartford.
Yeah.
And the advertisement for one of, I want to say it was Murata's show, Frank Senior's
yes,
show.
Yes, show every year, yes.
And so my brother, one of my brothers, 5 years older than me, when I got better, he took me to the car show. And that was it. I was hooked.
That was it.
And I was hooked, Larry, on the T-buckets, the Model T Ford hot rods. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so when I finally had the chance, I finally built one, and I still have it. It's been on the road for 41 years.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's got well over 100,000 miles on it.
Oh,
And,
wow.
I can't get my legs up in it anymore. Have to put a step on it to get in. But,
Yeah.
that's what got me started.
Oh, wow. You know, it's oddly enough, it's things like that. When I was young, there was a movie Elvis Presley was in, and he had a hot rod, like a roadster.
Yep.
That's what sparked me.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had some older cars over the years. I originally had a 36 Ford, three-window coupe.
Oh, wow.
You know, which I love. I wish I still had the car, I'll tell you. And then over the years, we got into muscle cars. My very first car was a 1952 Chevy convertible.
Oh, wow.
Which is very rare.
Yeah.
You'd never see them.
No, you don't.
Now, what was your first car?
My first car was a 1939 Pontiac Coupe with a straight 8 in it. I bought it locally, in town actually. Wouldn't go anywhere because I had to set the dwell was badly off, adjust the carburetor and the distributor. But that car did well. In fact, I wound up in Murata's car show then in 1970 with that car.
Wow.
So, I had it painted, had it striped in the show, and but that was it. That was a hot rod. That was a that was
the start of it all, huh?
It was the start of it, yeah.
And then how'd you progress into getting more cars? Or were you in a car club or anything?
Well, I was approached in 70 when I was there by somebody from the Connecticut Street Rod Association. So I joined them in 71.
Okay.
They were established in 67, so they were a young club building up. They're still in business today. I mean, they're still a pretty active club. So I joined them and got around more hot rods. And then I had bought a couple more, and then, life got in the way.
Yeah.
Marriage, divorce, sold the cars, and so on and so forth. Until about 1983 is when I got divorced and everything was all over, and I said, I'm going to do something for me. And that's when I built the T-bucket. So seemingly it wasn't that long ago, but it really was, about 45 years ago, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, where the hell did the time go, Larry? I kept that, and then I put up a new garage. We rented a garage. My brother and cousins, we all had this big place. And then I put up my own garage in '90, and it's a big garage, and it was pretty barren with 2 cars I had in it. So I had to buy more cars. So that was
Gave me an excuse.
yeah. So luckily, my collection is limited to the size I can keep them.
Now I noticed you have a couple of look like Plymouth convertibles. Those are rare cars. Am I thinking right?
Yeah, they're not real rare, but you don't see them around much.
I think one's maroon, and one's blue.
Yeah, the one that I drive now is a 47. I actually bought that one a couple of years from my friend Glenn Royals up in Torrington. Had found some cars upstate New York in a garage. And when he told me that was one of them, I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "I'm going to sell it." I said, "I want to buy it." So I did. And it needed work. I mean, it was 40,000 miles. It was put away for a reason. It took me a while to find out why. And mechanically, and we've straightened that out.
Flathead 6.
Flathead 6, yep. Still 6-volt system. I left it.
Yeah.
Just dirty, grungy. Maybe 50 years ago, it was put in. It was put in the garage in 1970. So, anyway, we're working on it. It's a fun little car to drive, though.
Well, I mean, it looked like a pretty little car, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a 48 convertible that needed a lot of work. Years ago, my brother had Plymouths. So we had more than a dozen of them. And
so you know how to work on them.
well, we had it. Yeah, sure. But we had a convertible.
Yeah.
And it got totaled. We won't go into that story, but that got damaged and got thrown away, disposed of. And I always wanted another one, so I found another one.
You did.
And then I got this 47, so that's it. The other one is a 46 coupe that my son drives.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a good car. I like them better than Fords.
They got good motors. I'll tell you, I can remember in the early years of racing, which I got involved with, the Chrysler 6, which is similar to that motor, were very popular for race motors.
Yeah.
You know, they put out good power and
a lot of torque.
Durable, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I got to ask you the big question for me. How'd you get that Mercury? I want that maroon Mercury.
We were visiting, there was a little body shop in Burlington over by the Collins Company. And a friend, somebody who became a real good friend, owned it. And we stopped in one day to see about fixing something else, and I don't remember what it was. But anyway, this Mercury was sitting over in the corner. It was covered with dust and dirt, and it was 3 different colors of primer, and one of the taillights was completely cut out, and there's a lot of stuff. And I said to him, I said, well, I really liked it because, you know, the 49 to 51 Mercuries are called the King of Customs. The Harry had a Merc was the most famous one, just sold for $1.9 million.
Oh, yeah.
Insane, right?
Chop top.
So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, our friend Wayne Carini brokered that. And so I told Jerry, I said, you know, if you ever want to sell that car, let me know. I'd be interested in buying it. So lo and behold, 1990, I was in the local grocery store, and he came in and he said, hey, Mike, how long? You know, I hadn't seen him in a while. He says, hey, you still interested in that little Merc I got? I said, yeah. He says, I think I'm going to sell it. I said, I think I'm going to buy it. I didn't care how much it cost. So I did. I bought it. And it was supposedly all ready for paint, and it was a mess.
Was
a mess.
Was that chopped, that car too, or no?
No.
Didn't have a chop top, right?
And I couldn't chop it. I was working at the time. I was working for Sikorsky aircraft, helicopters, and I was putting in 60 hours plus working, driving to Stratford every day and back and forth, and making great money. But when I work like that, I work hard.
Oh yeah.
You know, was a propulsion fuel system designer for them. So I farmed out the body work and stuff. I did, my friend Richie up in Norfolk, we took it up and we put it up and we did all the brakes and all that stuff, all the mechanicals. Then I took it to Mike O'Brien, who in Berkshire Automotive, which is now Time Was Garage.
Oh yeah, I know Mike.
Mike's been a friend and he's got, how many cars he got?
Oh my dear, oh yeah.
So he's been a friend for over 50 years. And so I put it in his capable hands to do the body and paint.
Yeah, you got like Packard taillights,
Got
right?
56 Packard taillights.
They were very
Yeah.
popular. That taillight, people loved them.
Yeah, at that time. The car, luckily, the car came with a set of new old stock taillights and some clips, just a sheet metal somebody cut out of a junkyard
Well,
off a car. So we had the raw material to do it, and I seen them put in a lot of cars, and they're never right. Mike had these in the back of that car, in and out, over a dozen times to get them right.
oh wow.
It constituted extending the quarter panels 2.5 inches, bringing the bumper out, making a new pan, so that the line, the contour, looked natural.
Yeah.
And yeah, he really did a nice job on it.
Paint too. I mean, did he paint the car?
Yeah,
Yeah, the paint is beautiful.
yeah. Larry, that car's been on the road for 25 years now.
When I look at that car,
You know.
the 57 Cadillac hubcaps,
Oh yeah, the caddy. Well, see there again.
it just brings me back to when I was a kid.
I built it all to be pre-60. There's 2 things in there that aren't pre-60. Even the motor was purportedly a 57. It's not. It's a 59 Chevy 283. And I have triple Stromberg carburetors on it. And the engine compartment's all done, all
Yeah,
done
yeah.
up nice, And the interior subtle. I didn't want it to overpower the exterior. So that when my son gets it, when I'm gone, but 50 years from now, it'll still be right in style,
Yeah, well, let me tell you, they don't go out of style. Those cars,
No,
I got a friend of mine now who's got a Mercury, beautiful black car. I don't know where he got it, but chop top. Oh my dear, beautiful.
Yeah. They we had considered chopping it, and you got to be careful. So the best deal I could find was somebody could chop it and do a real nice job was $6,000, and then it was going to add another 6 months to the build. It took 8 years to build that car.
Oh wow.
So because sometimes you had to put it away instead of taking a hammer to it.
Yeah.
So I just didn't want to wait anymore. My friend Jim had one chopped and like riding like this.
Yeah.
So my neck is already bad from driving the T-bucket like that.
Yeah.
So I opted not to chop the top. And I think it looks just great without it.
Well, it looks beautiful. I love the car. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, I love the car.
Yeah, I appreciate that. A lot of people do, Larry.
Yeah.
So, I love it myself. I look at it after 25 years. I'm always taking pictures of it.
Yeah.
But it cleans
Do you
up.
bring
nice.
it to shows
Yeah.
now and then, or like cruise nights too,
Oh, yeah.
or no? Yeah.
Yep. Now that I've got the convertible on the road, I've taken that. Kind of been driving that more now,
Yeah.
But the Mercury, I took. Where the hell was I with the Mercury? I was in Wallingford or someplace with it one day
Yeah.
with a friend,
Yeah.
with our friend Rick Theriault,
Yep.
And don't you know, he just come under the overpass coming home on 91. I run out of gas.
Oh boy.
My gas gauge does this. I got to
Yeah.
fix
Yeah.
it.
But
But so they,
yeah.
stuff happens when
Yeah. Hey.
when you drive it,
I'll tell you one thing I missed this year was Kleinberg no longer has their show,
Yeah.
which I think is an absolute shame because I love Connecticut created cars. That's the only show where they're really, you see them. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll talk about that again because I can tell you some about that. But Mark retired. Mark Johnson was
Yes,
the driving
yeah.
force of that.
Yeah.
He retired, and he's doing some other things right now. And a couple people, I won't mention names, but a couple big names in motorsports here in Connecticut had discussed it and talked it over about bringing it back. But I think time has passed, and I haven't talked to either one of them since. So I think that's kind of
Yeah.
gone to the wayside. But
I think there's a guy in Farmington now gonna do something. He owns the polo grounds.
well, that's my yeah.
You know the guy.
Yep. Not sure what they're doing yet. I kind of lost touch. You know, as you know, I've been
Yeah,
sick too,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I've lost touch and having my fingers in with all those guys now of late. Dean is one.
Yeah.
And they would like to do something. I wish that I could have done something with bringing my facility in here. And maybe I still can in time, but for now, we're just letting it go with that.
Now, do you still do the show in Bristol?
I did, yeah, I just had my 10th. We switched the name to Summertime Car Show. It used to be the New England Auto Museum presents the Father's Day
Yes.
Car Show. That's when we were in Norwalk. And because I moved up here, the date conflicted with Klingberg. Because their show was on Saturday before Father's Day,
Yeah.
and that Sunday was their rain date. And Mark and I have a wonderful relationship, Mark Johnson and I. So I didn't want to disturb the apple cart there, so I found another date, and that was the second Saturday in August.
Okay.
So we just did have that, yeah.
Unfortunately, usually I'm there, but we lost now. And how I usually end up there, I have a good friend named Don Moon, who used to race.
Yep.
And he just recently passed away, and he's the one who used to drive me crazy. We're bringing the race cars to Bristol.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, two facts there. One is my son wanted to join the Bristol Auto Club. And the guys there had asked me several times about joining. And same with the Valley Collector Club out of Simsbury up there. And I said, with what I've got going now, if I belong to a club, I don't want to join the club because I'm not going to be able to give it my all, dedication and work and all that stuff, because I've got this other thing going. But my son couldn't join it without me because he was only 16. So I said, all right, I'll join. So I joined the Bristol Auto Club. Those guys have been tremendous. They've been really big help. Valley Collector Club, the guys, I always like to promote those clubs because the guys do a lot of hard work to keep propagating this culture of ours.
I still to this day, talk about, I had an interview that day at your show with Stoney. You know Stoney?
Oh, Al Stone, yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, boy.
Well, he built the panel truck,
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he bought it from somebody that, unfortunately, the guy became paraplegic, was injured in an accident. And so anyway, the truck came available, and it was a part, and so Sony took it and put it all back together, and I bought it. Geez, I should have looked, but I don't know how long ago I bought it.
Wow.
10, 12
I mean,
years ago or something?
I'll tell you, I haven't seen many of them. They got to be rare. Huh?
No, they only built about 5,000, 5,012
I was
or
going to
something.
say, I don't see them often.
No, they were utility trucks like vans, carpenters and plumbers and guys. So they got dented up pretty good, and then they got discarded.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
that was a real work truck. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of work went into it. Al did a lot of work on it, and I'm trying to finish it up.
It looks good, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's a nice looking truck.
So what's your newest car?
Well, the newest car is that Plymouth convertible.
Oh, the Plymouth convertible, okay.
Yeah. I said, okay, I'm going to take it to Mopar Emotions Spring Fling over at Papa's Dodge. A big cruise on Saturday night and a big show on Sunday. So off I headed to New Britain with the thing. I got about half a mile away from Papa's Dodge, and the front wheel locked up. I had to have it towed home.
Oh my God, the
Plymouths
bearing.
have dual wheel cylinders, one top and one bottom, and the bottom cylinder pushed that pin right out and locked the brake.
Oh my
the
dear.
brake shoe right into the drum, twisted it, and
So,
flew it all over everywhere. So, so you get skeptical about driving it anywhere, but I've been driving it around.
Hey, those things happen,
Yeah.
When you have an old car, there's always going to be something.
Yep. I saw another car at a show, and like a dummy, I didn't get the girl's name or anything. I did give her a business card, and she hasn't contacted me, but with a 34 Ford, I would like to buy. I can't offer her a lot of money for it, but it's a nice car, old style, built back in the 80s, the 70s, 80s. So I'm still trying to keep my eye open if I can get that. I've always I had a 34 years ago.
Yeah, they're a nice car too. You know.
Yep.
I like the 33s too. They're the same thing almost.
Yeah.
And I like all the old Fords. Believe me.
Is this one? And my wife could drive. My wife says I could drive that, right? Because she, we talked about my Model A. She likes driving my Model A. She likes driving my T also.
Oh wow.
But there was one at a time there that we'd go to the car show. Sometimes we take two cars. She'd drive one, I'd drive the other. And then a few times, believe it or not, Joe would drive one, I'd drive one, and then she would drive one.
Wow.
Not to be show off, but you can't leave them in the garage. You have to drive them.
You got to use them too.
You got to use them. So I want to make sure I keep doing it.
Every time you talk about a Model T, I always remember the car from '77 Sunset Strip.
Yep.
That Cookie's car there.
With Eddie Burns, yeah.
Oh my dear.
Yeah.
That was a nice
Well, that
car.
was, the T-buckets were a staple of hot rodding back years ago.
Yep.
And those, and then they stripped down the coupes. They would take all the fenders down and do that. And then, of course, the 32s are untouchable now. But
Oh yeah, you can't touch them.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
expensive.
just to find a metal car now is tough.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So I spend more time cleaning my garage and cleaning the cars than I do actually working on them anymore. I have some physical restraints, and maybe most of them are in my head. I'm not sure, but
hey, you know
I've
what?
slowed down.
You do what you could do. That's all, Mike.
Yeah.
You do what you could do.
My latest thing, Larry, so I needed something to, I want to carry my tents and tables and all that stuff to the shows and stuff with. And I've wanted an old camper for a long time for that, but they're getting expensive too. So I finally picked up a 1961, 62 Shasta Air Flight.
Oh wow.
It'd been sitting in the woods since 2005, and we had to cut stuff down and trim, and had no wheels on it or tires. It was on blocks. We had to jack it up in the woods. I could barely get my trailer in there to get it. The hitch had been cut off.
Oh my dear.
And so anyway, I finally got that home, so I'm in the process of cleaning it up. It was covered with moss.
That'd be a
and
nice
dirt.
project, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to keep it, but now that I've cleaned it up, it's a lot nicer than it was when I found it in the
Oh,
woods.
wow,
Yeah,
that's an interesting project, let me tell you.
yeah.
But they have their place though, and their following.
They have a big following.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if I get tired of working on that, or a car comes up that I want and I need the cash, I might let it go, but we'll see. Not yet.
Hey. Oddly enough, when I was growing up, in the early years, I had a lot of early Chevys, like 49, 50, you know what I mean? Then we progressed into the muscle car era, I call it.
Yeah.
I had a 56 Chevy convertible. But the newer cars I got to like, and I fixed a bunch of them. Mustangs, Camaros. I had a Z28 Camaro 69. I had a 1970 Yanko Deuce. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah.
You know how rare that car gotta be?
Yeah.
Oh my dear.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, I tell everybody can be stupid at some time. And for those watching, no, I'm not stupid all the time. But my uncle offered me he offered me two cars, actually. But the first car he offered me was a Corvette. And I used to drive it around the yard. It was a nice little roadster. But it wasn't mechanically great car. But it was a 53.
Oh,
and
wow.
I said, no, I don't want that.
Oh, wow.
I don't want that.
Oh, my dear.
So it was in
wow.
Farmington, and it was actually just up the street here.
Oh,
And
wow.
So that got sold to somebody in Farmington, Michigan,
Oh, wow.
oddly enough. So the other car that he said, well, you want this? I've never really liked Mustangs enough to own one. I appreciate the cars. I appreciate the guys that have them and take care of them, and all that. It just, I never thought it was one for me. So anyway, he offered his Mustang, and I said, no, I don't want that. It was a 65 Mustang GT 350 convertible.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So, you know, both top cars.
Yeah.
I didn't.
People
Go
love
for
to have them. Let me
And
tell
so
you.
I would have lost them in a divorce anyway.
You know, the only bad thing, not bad, but sad thing, I had a brand new Mustang, by the way, a 65 Fastback. But prior to buying that car, I had dragged my father to Providence, Rhode Island, to Tasker Ford.
Ah,
I wanted a Shelby Mustang.
ah.
That's what I really wanted. And they weren't cheap back then I mean, overall,
Yeah,
you
they
know.
were about $3,000.
They weren't even, they were more than that. They were like 4,100. I
they
mean,
were?
back then,
Yeah.
that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, you could buy a Corvette back then, I think, for even less. Anyway, we get there. The salesman going to take us for a ride in the car. We get in the car. He scares the shit out of everybody. My father turns around, says to me, "You will never, ever buy this car." So that ended
That was the end of that.
the end of the Shelby.
When I bought my first car there, that 39 Pontiac, I paid $150 for it. So at that time, we were renting the garages at this chicken coop, at this chicken farm. Chicken's long gone. We rented a 30 by 60 building. So I had it there. So I brought my father down, and I think I was 16, 17 years old, living at home. And so I brought him down, and he walked around, looked at it, and we're on either sides of the hood. He says, "Well, how much the guy want for it?" I said, $150. I said, "But I already paid him."
Oh my
So he
dear.
took a swipe across the hood. Goes, "Then what the hell did you drag me down here for?" I said, "I want to know if I can keep it."
Oh my
You
dear.
know? So he let me keep it. But yeah, that car, that Flathead 8 got
Yeah,
transplanted.
we all have great stories.
Yeah.
And Mike, I have to tell you, when you're having fun, time is flying.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we come to the conclusion of the show. I really want to thank you, Mike, for
thank
coming
you,
here. I want to thank the viewers. And remember, the collector car world is alive and well. And I hope to see you again next week on Racing Action Today.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.